Hey and welcome to my channel. In this video today I'm going to be talking about SimHub, what it can do, the functions inside it. Also I'm going to be showing you how you can load a sketch onto an Arduino, which a lot of people struggle with. I'm going to just talk basically about SimHub in general, the base shakers, the screens, the Arduino setup tool, how to see your device if you're not seeing it and why. So there's lots of things that you can do with SimHub. I'm going to also show you how to configure your game for the first time. So let's get into today's video. So here we are inside SimHub. This is version 7.4.12, which is currently the latest one that's available on the SimHub website. I'll put that up now so you know the website and where to find it. And if we just start at the top tab here, we have the games tab, and as you can see these are all the titles that SimHub covers, and basically all you need to do is click on one of these games and you will, as you can see, mine's highlighted on Assetto Corsa at the moment. You just need to click on one of these titles. So if we just say clicked on Automobilista, as you can see here we're now on Automobilista, and all you need to do is click on this game config tab. Once you click on this game config tab, it will tell you what you need to do. So as you can see, SimHub can't configure the game. Make sure you have it installed and run it in order to create the game config files. Because I'm on my laptop in my workshop room where I build all my sim racing parts, and obviously I'll talk about a little bit later about that in the video. So make sure you watch this video to the end, because I'm going to obviously explain where you can get these parts from. This basically shows you how to configure it, and most of the games will tell you here with the instructions tab. So all you need to do is open it up, and then there's a how-to, and then if you look there it says place the R-Factor shared memory map.dll file inside the plugins folder of your Automobilista installation. So basically what you do there is you just copy this shared memory map here and you just put that in as it says, and then the game will work. So you only need to do this for the first time and then it'll work. Some of the games will actually already be configured. I believe iRacing, I don't actually use iRacing, but I believe iRacing is just automatic. So let's just take a look. So if we just click again on the game config, and as you can see, no telemetry settings required, just start the game and have fun. So like I said, it automatically works. This is just a basic look at how the games work. So every time you get a device, you want it to work. If you're using Dash Studio for the USB D480s, or a USB screen or a HDMI screen, or your phone or your tablet, if it doesn't work, then it's because your game's not configured. So we'll just take a look at the car settings tab now. This is where you can set your LEDs, set the max percent of RPM, so your red line will come on at 85%. Your low fuel alert triggers at 1.2 laps. Again, you can just adjust all this to exactly what you want. Here we've got the controls for the red line when it change the steps when the car is known RPM, and so on and so on. It's just all explaining there what the car settings can do. The statistics, this will show you statistics from your recent sessions. Obviously this is, again, like I said, my laptop, so I'm not doing any racing within here. This is that'll be on my actual simulator, not on the laptop. So I've got no data there. Dash Studio, this is where I'm going to do another video on this. I'm going to show you how you can make a screen. I'm going to show you how to edit the screen. I'm going to show you how you can add things into it. So I've actually made some dashboards using the Bosch. I've added in things like the pedals, so you can see the pedal, clutch, brake and throttle like you can in a Assetto Corsa app, so you can then use that in Automobilista, R-Factor, Race Room. You can see your pedals working, so if you're not getting a full pedal, it'll show. I also show you how you can put like driver in front, driver behind, what track you're on, whether it's a practice, qualify. I edit all that, and I will share that as well. I will share that folder. I'm going to actually put a Google Drive up, and I will show you all my dashes, so you can just copy them. I've got lots of dashboards, and you can just simply put them into your SimHub directory, into the Dash Studio, and it'll automatically load them dashboards up. So it's a great way of seeing them dashes. So I'll talk about that in another video. Again, here we are in Arduino. So if I just go over to Arduino, here you can see that you've got the screens, the RGB LEDs, the TM1630 LEDs. Now, if people are confused what this is, the TM1630 LEDs is what comes on the 7-segment dashboards. So it's a little component, and I'll just put a picture up now of that. And basically, The LEDs are what belong to that board, so don't be getting confused with them and the RGB LEDs. The TM1638 LEDs only light up green and red, so just remember that. The RGB matrix, this is also another product that I'm going to be sharing with you that I actually sell on my eBay store. It's a 64 LED board. It displays things like yellow flag, blue flag, car to the left, car to the right, and it's approximately about an 80mm square roughly, and it's quite a good size. Again, I'll be doing a video on that later on. This video is just basically talking about what each of these things do. I can just give you a quick demonstration here, because if you open the test data editor, it will actually show you. Oh, you can use it as a gear indicator as well. Sorry I forgot to mention that, but I don't actually want it running as a gear indicator. I just wanted it to running as a flag. So what you can do is, I'll just move me out of the way, you can just turn off that function there, and then that simply turns off gears. So now it will only show the flags and the spotter overlay. So if we just open the test data editor again, as you can see now the gears are not displayed. No matter if we just try putting it in any gear, it will not show that. It'll only show what we've asked it to see. So if we just come down here and we ask it to see a yellow flag, you will see the actual function it does. We can adjust the brightness up here inside the actual device, so you can turn it right down if it's a bit too bright for you. You don't want it too bright, or maybe you want it really bright, or you've got the flag actually turning facing your wall and you want it to just flash up on your wall behind, so that you get notified when there's a car come off the track. Then that's all you need to do. Again, you can see what it does with a blue flag, and that's the exact demonstration of what it would look like on the device. Green flag, white flag, and obviously a black flag. Now, I know that you're probably thinking, well, that's flashing white, but we can't see black, so that's the way SimHub and whatever's created it to be seen with inside that. So the other good thing about this, and I really like this, if you use Helicorsa in Assetto Corsa, it's a good tool to use, like a good app, where you can see the people to your left, the people to your right, what's behind you and stuff, where the cars are, so when you're racing you don't clip someone if you're not using, you know, like crew chief. So as you can see here, when you're racing round and you know you come into a corner, a car comes around the outside here, this will let you know there's a car to your left, then there'll be a car to your right, and obviously if there's a car either side, they can both flash to let you know that there's a car on your left, car on your right. You're more than likely going to see them as well, but it's just another added peripheral what really helps you when you're racing. I tend to find it really helps me, because as soon as you see that flashing, it catches my attention. I've got my display above my monitor, so when I'm racing I can just look up and think, oh, there's a car on my right. I can have a quick look. In the mirror, I can also check my Helicorsa. It's just another added peripheral that stops you from colliding with someone and effectively ruining someone's race. So that's a little bit about the RGB matrix. Now, displaying alerts, as you can see here now, which is another good function that they've added, is the single color matrix gear indicator. So we have a gear indicator that we can use. It's only small, which is I think 8x8 LEDs, but it is only for displaying gears. Now again, this is another product that I sell on my eBay store, and it's just a simple little device, and I'll put a picture up now of what that looks like, and you can just adapt this to work as a gear indicator. The great thing about this now is it actually didn't used to display this information in the desktop mode. It'd only display it in the game. So now you can actually test it. You change the brightness again by sliding the slider. You can change the orientation. So maybe if you made your own and you want to make it into like a round box, and you wanted to mount it, say, to the side, and the display was landscape, you can just switch it round in here to portrait. Again, you can switch it upside down. Another great function. You can display different fonts, so let's just have a look at the fonts that it does. We've got pixel 5x5, small 5x4. You know, you've got all these different ones. You can decide if you want it to flash on the red line, clear when out of game, otherwise it shows as neutral. So if you don't want it to just display when you're in idle mode, because if you've got SimHub open, it will always show the N. You can clear that so it doesn't light up. Maybe you don't want it showing. And here we have the 7 segments gear indicator, the red line blink for that. We have the alerts, and then the third-party devices. Now this is a Nersal gear indicator. This is a product that you can get as well. I've seen those, they're pretty good. And the 7-segment module, you can adjust the brightness here. You can flip the display, turn the brightness down of each individual one. So that's a little look at the 7-segment display and the gear indicator for the Max 7219. Here we have gauges. Now gauges, again, another product that I sell in my store, the Defi RPM gauge. What you'll notice with a lot of these gauges when you do get them from China, or if you buy one off eBay, is they're very cheap and they're very slow. So just beware of that. It took me a long time to find a good quality gauge, and again, there's videos on my channel that show this gauge working. What you'll notice on other videos when people have put them on, if you're in a car like a Radical or you know, a fast revving car, like maybe, you know, a Lotus, the old Lotus Formula 1, something that really revs quick. What's the Brabham race car as well, the historic race, I forget what the model is, but that's another fast revving car, revs to about 10 grand. If you're revving that car up on the spot really quickly, right, and that RPM gauge doesn't keep up, there's no point having it. In my opinion, it's a pointless piece of equipment. You're racing round and your RPM gauge is not keeping up. You want to rev it and it literally flick around to the RPM to match the in-game. And that's the ones that I sell. That's the ones that I've found. That, like I said, they took me a lot of finding. They're not the cheapest. They're quite expensive for me to purchase and convert. But again, when I started sim racing in like 2015, 2016, there were none of this equipment available. You could hardly find anything. And the ones that you could find, again, like I said, weren't very good. They didn't keep up. They weren't reliable. Now, a lot of my close friends have got these RPM gauges and they've had them for 4 years and they've never once had a problem. You know, nearly all my friends have had all my equipment off me and all the parts I make because they all love them. And again, the Arduinos have been very reliable, and that's one thing I'm very happy about, is the fact that these little Arduinos are very reliable. I've not really had any issues with these whatsoever, which is great. So that's a little look at the RPM gauges, the info it can do. So like I said, you can change the RPM tacho, which is 11,000 on the Defi ones, and then usually you can just change the amount of cylinders. I just keep it at 4. What you can do is you can click on this advanced calibration and you can actually test it. So when it's plugged in, the needle on the RPM gauge will sweep to 3,000. If it's at 3.1 or 2.9, you can just adjust it until it meets perfectly. Usually these are all pretty accurate, so you don't have to do much there. And then you can just click back on the basic settings and you can test the max RPM, make sure it's going around to 11 and just click off rather than going to an advanced. Again, the boost gauges, this is something else that I supply. This is where you input all the data. This data that I've put in here works in accordance with the Defi RPM, the Defi boost gauges that I supply. So you just need to, if you've got your own boost gauge, you just need to have a little bit of a mess with this until you get it working right. You know, the maximum output, so these ones I sell are actually 2 bar. So you just need to make sure that you get the full 2 bar. When you click back, it goes to 0, and then you can test the boost minimum, test the boost 0, and then the max and these. So once you meet all these, it'll pretty much be very accurate in game. I always test with a car, like an Assetto Corsa, for example, that's a Kunos one. So if you look on my other videos, there's one explaining about the Defi boost gauge, and I show a comparison with it on with the Porsche 911 RUF. Well, it's actually a rough 911. Because it's a Kunos car, the boost is usually pretty accurate. Just bear that in mind if you're actually using, say, a drift car. Maybe it's a clutch gang, or you know, maybe one of the WDTs, anything like that. If you're using it, just make sure that you compare it with a Kunos car first, because it could be that the model that you're using, the actual car, hasn't been optimized well, and you think that it doesn't match with the boost showing in the game on maybe the dashboard boost gauge. It doesn't match with that. Just bear that in mind, because I've seen that happen before when I've been testing. So a Speedo, this is something that I also can supply to people, but I don't really do them as much because they're not very popular. People would rather use the 5-inch screens, or you know, a Dash Studio type display, or the phone or a tablet. So we can talk about that in another video. The fuel gauge, another product you can get. Again, the temperature gauge. So these are all the things that you can test in this Arduino section. So it's mainly about the testing. Again, the controls here, you can show the next screen. So if you're maybe displaying tire temperature, tyre wear, your fastest lap. You can actually map a button on your steering wheel or your button box, or even maybe if you've got a Stream Deck and you're emulating it with a keyboard emulator, you can use all these buttons to go through different cycles of that screen. So that's about a little bit about that. And then obviously you've got the RGB LEDs control, and you can click and configure all that again. So this is one of the most important ones. This is the My Hardware tab. And as you can see, I've got here a blue LCD screen which I've just built and supplied to a customer on eBay, so that's why this is showing as not connected, because it's obviously in the post now, it's not plugged in. So what you can do is you can just click there and you can click on forget this device, because we no longer have that. So this is a little bit about the My Hardware section, which is important once you get a device, if you built it yourself or if you've got one from me on eBay. So if you click on the single Arduino, it will only show you obviously one. I always have this tab open because it seems to have a better effect. You can see more things with it. You know, you get to see exactly what's going on, which COM port's plugged in, you know, and it tells you all this information. So I'll show you that now. So what I'll do is I will show you how to load up a sketch onto the Arduino. This is an Arduino Nano. You can get different types like an Uno, which is a bigger one, but generally the Nano is pretty sufficient for using as a board on your devices. So what you need to do is just simply go over to the Arduino setup tool. Now if you've actually got something from me on eBay, or you've got a product from somebody else, don't open this and start messing with it, because you will screw up the sketch and the file that's been loaded on. If it's not been seen by SimHub, your device, then you've either not got the drivers installed correctly, or you basically the sketch is not correct. So if we just click on start from scratch, and as you can see here, the generic name that will be loaded onto your dashboard is called SimHub Dash. Now when I have customers that have problems, I generally find that they've been in here tinkering and messing, and I know because the devices, as I call them, particular names like blue LCD screen, green LCD screen, 7-seg display, gear pod, etc. These names have been changed, so I know the sketch has been overwritten, and this is a general thing that tends to happen with people. So just beware that if you're not very familiar with this, take note of this video, listen to what I'm telling you, and if you're not so sure, then don't do anything. If you don't actually upload anything in here, then it shouldn't wipe the sketch off. So for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to load a sketch for a 7-segment display, which is the TM1638. So the reason why it's called a 7-segment display is because each one of the little actual segments has 7 little lines around it to make up a number. So we'll just call this 7-seg display. Okay, and as you come down, you've got all the different things. So you've got the gamepad, and this is the 7-segment module we're going to be looking at here, the TM1638. You've got the TM1637, but obviously the 1638 is what I'm going to be talking about. You've also got the 7-segment 6-digit module. These are actually a lot smaller. Then there's the Max 7221 and the 7219. Again, you can load this sketch onto these. The Max 7221, so that's the one I was talking about that you can use as a gear indicator. The single color matrix, the 2812 RGB LEDs. Again, I'm going to be doing lots of videos on how you make LEDs, the 7-segment display, the blue LCD screen, a DEFI RPM gauge, a boost gauge. I'm going to be discussing all this with you guys, showing you exactly how to do it, because yes, I might sell them on eBay, but I'm a sim racer myself, and the only reason I sell the parts on eBay is purely to help people who are not capable of building them, and I sell them as a cheaper price as possible. Obviously with Brexit and everything, it's been very difficult. I've tried to keep my prices as low as possible with free shipping, and I try to fulfill that so that I make a little bit of money for my time, but the customer also gets a good product and everyone's happy, because not everyone can got a soldering iron, not everyone's confident to use a soldering iron, not everyone's confident about Arduinos. They just want to get on, plug in and use. So that was what I set out to do with my eBay store. So again, we've got all the different types of LEDs, the 2812 board, which again, like I said to you, that's the matrix one where I showed you the flashing yellow lights. That's an 8x8, so you just need to load up into there if you want to use that, so on and so on. The blue LCD screen, or the green LCD screen, is the I2C library ones is the most difficult one that you'll have issues with. A lot of problems with these, people not understanding why the sketch hasn't loaded and things, and it's quite complicated. But I'll do a separate video on that, and I will talk to you exactly how to do that, so don't worry. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel and click that bell notification, because obviously when I load a video it might help you with something you're struggling with, and you'll get notified of it straight away. Again, with the tachometer, the boost gauge, and it shows you everything down this list that it can do. So like I said, we're going to look at doing a 7-segment module today. So basically I'm just going to pretend that I've got a 7-segment module connected up to my Arduino, okay? So we'd actually only want to have one. So with this, you'll see now that you can reverse the LED colors, and also if you're using the common data pin for pin 8, common clock for pin 7, and the first module, which is the STBO, for pin 9. So when you've got a 7-segment module, you will actually see each one of these pins here, 8, 7 and 9 on your Arduino, will correspond to this on the 7-segment module. So on the 7-segment module, you will actually see a diode pin, clock pin, STBO pin. So what I tend to do with this is, because they're all in a row, I just tend to use 7, 8 and 9. And as you can see, if you change one of these pins, it will actually say this can't be used because you're using it on another one. So all you need to do is click that, and then as you can see here on the right hand side, it shows you where these need to connect to. So 7 is going to diode, 8 is going to clock, 9 is going to STB. So again, it's very easy to do, and all you need to do then is simply plug in your Arduino to a USB port. It will connect. You will get some flashing LEDs that you can probably just see, and you just need to click here on the Arduino serial port, and it will show you that CH340 is the chipset that's used on the Arduino, so we know that it's COM port 12. If you've got other devices that are already plugged in, you need to make sure that 1, you've either unplugged them so you don't overwrite them, or 2, you know the COM port that they are. So make sure you don't get confused with that. Also, we've got a drop down menu here for the different types of Arduinos. I actually use the Atmega 328s with the old bootloaders. So just make sure that you got the correct one, otherwise it won't load. And then you just simply click on COM port 12, which is for me, and then make sure you tick this, and it will say, I understand that uploading this sketch will replace any existing firmware on the Arduino, and I've made sure that I'm using the correct serial port. Again, what I've just reiterated. So we just click that, and we click upload to Arduino. It will then start to compile the sketch automatically, and you can just simply wait for it to load up. As you can see, once the upload's done, it will say successful, and you will see here that it says done, thank you, and it's flashed onto the actual Arduino. Once you click OK, you just need to then close this section, and you will be taken back to the actual My Hardware. Now, I usually click on scan for new devices only, and it will scan, and as you see, it will look for the Arduino on COM port 12, and then it will say connected. Ignore the other COM ports, that's just purely because I've had other devices plugged in while I've been setting them up, so that's why it's looking for them. And as you can see here, we can click the menu, and you can see that we've got a 7-segment display connected. What you need to do then is check that all your settings that you're happy with in here, then just literally open the test data editor, and in here you will be able to see obviously the LEDs showing as they show on the display. You'll be able to see that they go through from green to red, or however you've got them set them down here, and just make sure that you're happy that they're working. Then you can close the data editor. When you're in the screen section, if you're in idle, you're more than likely at the time screen, and at the time screen, as you can see, what my 7-segment display would be showing, if I just change that from here to a 7-seg, is I would have mine saying USH1. So obviously I've got different modules that I have connected. This one is what the first one would see, and order does matter. And it also says that within My Hardware, that these devices, you need to make sure that order matters. You can reorder the Arduinos by dragging them and using them. So if you've got more than one 7-seg display plugged in, and you're not seeing any data on it, you just need to make sure that the data is either inputted on the screen in the actual second screen. So if you've no data, it's purely because this section module here has not got any data on it. So just make sure that you've done that. or if you've got another display and you just want to test it, just drag it up to the top and then click apply changes, and then you'll be able to see that data. So that pretty much explains how to do that with a 7seg display at least. Like I said, I'll do other videos on other devices. If you've got any queries, or you want me to do a video on something else, just put a comment down below and I'll have a look at what you've written. I'll surely do a video on that as well. I'm going to talk about base shakers as well in another video, but I'm actually going to talk about that on my other rig. On my rig, should I say, because that's where I've actually got my base shaker and everything connected, so I can do a video on that. I can also explain what I'm using for base shakers. Again, these are all future videos, so don't worry. Just make sure that you've liked and subscribed to my channel, and the notification bell, so that obviously when I load this content, you're going to be notified. That's the main thing. I can talk about the next gen display. Obviously about controlling events. This is how you map different buttons to different screens. Again, I don't want to bore you too much with this video today, so we can talk about them later. Obviously, if you've got a Thrustmaster, you can control all the things in there. There's so much you can do within SimHub. This is just a quick video again today of a update of my old SimHub guide that I've done. So if you want to check that video out as well, I go into quite a lot of depth, so be sure to check that out. Again, all this information in here, like if you want to start it with Windows, if you want to run it as an administrator, start it minimized, default startup tab, you know, so on, so on, so on. And again, make sure that you've donated to the full version to get full access to all of this. You know, the donator version limits your frame rates that you get on your screens, like Dash Studio. It lets you get a basic use of SimHub, should I say, but it's obviously not the full version where you get every capability. So I hope this video helped you a lot with understanding how to just upload an Arduino sketch. Like I've said, I will be doing lots more videos. I'll be putting a lot of effort into this now. I really want to get this channel growing. I want to obviously help a lot of people with SimHub. I seem to be the go-to person for SimHub at the moment when people have got any problems. I always get messages on Discord and things, and people are having a lot of problems, and people obviously don't understand some of the functions. A SimHub can seem a little bit confusing at first, but it's actually a very, very, very good piece of software. It has a lot of functions inside, and obviously you just need to donate. So like I said, make sure you do that because it's great. I absolutely love SimHub. It's just one of the best pieces of software for a sim racer. The things you can do with it, you know, I'm going to do so many videos on it, so don't worry, you'll be able to see all them. So that's all for this video today. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.